What's up, fight fan? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News. In this segment, man, I want to talk about different styles of boxing and why these styles matter and what the purpose of these styles are. I just watched David Lemieux versus Billy Joe Saunders again. I revisited that. I just sitting around the house, wanted to see a good fight. And I love all fights. I love a good brawl. I love the good war. I love a good boxing chess match. I love it all because I respect all aspects of boxing. What they do in that ring, because I can respect it all because I respect different styles. Okay. So looking at that fight, I see a guy that totally dismantled another guy by a combination of boxing, combinations, and movement from Billy Joe. And David Lemieux had all the power in the world. He's probably one of the hardest punching middleweights that you have today. But his style and his strategy was off. The speed, he did not possess the faster of the two. He was not able to do anything with Billy Joe. Billy Joe was, he had him in reach. He had him in size. He had him in speed. He had him in skill also. It's just David Lemieux's a limited fighter anyway. So it's so many things that he can do in the ring. He can, if he punches you, he'll knock your brains out. But if he can't hit you, it's over with. He couldn't hit Golovkin flush because Golovkin kept the jab in his face. But Billy Joe, not only kept the jab in his face, that lead straight left couldn't miss Lemieux. He couldn't miss him because every time Lemieux was set to punch, Billy Joe would either move to the right or to the left, to get him off his line. And, and then sometimes he would move, then sometimes he would come straight forward with that straight leading left, since, from the southpaw position in the southpaw stand. So, he was not able to do anything. He was not able to adjust. I was looking at the erislandy Lara Canelo fight. Okay. And that fight was similar. Lara being a southpaw would paw with his right. And as soon, paw with his right. And as soon as Alvarez would drop his right, here comes the left. And the problem was, in both of these fights, none of these guys were able to adapt. None of them. They were not able to adapt. The only difference was in the Canelo-Lara fight, Canelo started throwing body punches because that was the only thing that he felt that he could hit. But it was a good move because it kept him in the fight as well as scoring points. Not necessarily winning rounds because, I don't think he won a lot of rounds in that fight, but he was able to at least throw punches to the body. Call it what you will. Call it out of desperation, frustration, try another shun, right? Whichever one. He threw those punches to the body. And, that at least, stopped Lara, not stopped Lara, but it slowed down Lara's punch output, but Lara still did the same thing. He could not miss him with that 1-2 or that straight left followed by a right jab. He couldn't miss it. He couldn't miss him. Neither did Billy Joe Saunders. And these two fights I put into comparison because they're similar. They're fought in similar ways. Even though I think Billy Joe had a better combination of, or a better mix of combination and boxing and moving. Lara, I think Lara started to hit Canelo and seen how easy it was. And I think he did what he wanted to do, but wasn't aware of what he should have been doing. Or should I say could have been doing. Because he should have thrown more punches. You know what I mean? Because if he would have thrown more punches, there wouldn't have been a shadow of a doubt. I mean, it would have been the same outcome simply because Canelo was the draw. And of course, this was before the Cotto fight, and they were trying to set that up. as opposed to have another Lara rematch and who wants another tough fight with a guy that you can't hit. Okay. Just like you wouldn't want to see another David Lemieux and Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, why would you even want to see that? But mind you, I've talked again and again about referees and how people view fights and how judges look at fights. Most judges come from certain areas. They might look at that as oh, he's running. There is not a such thing as running in boxing. People think that running is a form of, when you move, you run. No, you don't run, you elude. You move to the left, you move to the right. Some people move straight backwards. Some people weave out, bob in, weave in. It's many tactics when doing certain things. Like I remember Chepo Reynosa. He is the senior trainer to Canelo Alvarez. After that fight, he was saying in Spanish that you're supposed to move your body, not just your whole body, but just move your upper body to avoid punches. You don't supposed to go side to side. So that tells you right there that him being a Mexican trainer doesn't respect the idea of moving side to side. Like Lara did and what Billy Joe Saunders did. Remember when Billy Joe moved to the side and did this thing when David Lemieux threw a right at him. He could, he was all the way out of position. And when David Lemieux threw that, he looked foolish. Canelo did the same thing. So both of these golden boy fighters, right? These guys did the same tactics. It's just it was a different decision result in both fights. But it just showed back to Chepo. Chepo did not respect the Cuban way of moving, and it makes sense for a guy that lacks amateur experience, especially seeing that type of technique in the ring. If you're used to a guy moving your upper body and not used to him going side to side, you don't want any part of a punch to hit you. That's a fact. It's the hit without being hit. Lara did that. I think Lara should have came with more offense instead of what he chose to throw versus what he should have thrown. But it just shows that if Chepo can think that way, that means a judge can think that way. You know what I mean? And I'm not letting off the idea that De La Hoya bought those damn judges, but I believe that happened, because there's no way Levi Martinez should have had that 117, 111. That was just retarded. You know what I mean? But I can see on a realistic standpoint that a person might see something another in a different way than someone else. Oh, he's running. No, he's just moving side. He just moved to the left because the guy, threw a left hook and he moved to the left to elude that left hook. But that's running. You know what I mean? That's not defense, but it is defense. It's just not popular from where he's from. So a lot of guys, think that way. So, people have different perspective of the fight game, but it's a beautiful thing to see once again when you got boxers that can control the distance, that you can't hit them. That just shows just gives that other fighter a boxing lesson. You can't beat that. Not necessarily an ass whooping, but because I like that too, but a boxing lesson. You don't want to knock him out, because you want him at the end of that fight, you want him knowing, I got outboxed and I got my ass outclassed. You know what I'm saying? So those are the type things that I like and respect. And that's what I was seeing today. And that's what I saw today. And I just want to share that with you guys. Two particular fights where you had two boxers, we could throw in Mayweather and Canelo, and that was a definite, exhibition of speed and skill and distance. Okay. And Floyd didn't really he went side to side too. He just didn't do it as much as Lara, because Lara doesn't use his upper body as a form like Mayweather. However, I would love to see Lara 4 or 5 years ago train with Mayweather. like Roger. You know what I mean? And you know, and really perfect the Philly style, like, you know, someone like Judah. You know what I mean? But I think Judah was one of the most skilled fighters that Floyd ever fought. But you know, I think if you give that same style to Lara, I think he could do a lot more with it. Maybe, maybe not. It would just be interesting to see. But yeah, that was a great exhibition also to see someone take someone to school. And because he see Canelo tried to keep up with Lara. Lemieux tried to keep up with Billy Joe. Okay. That was their job because they know they had to be in position to throw those punches. With Floyd and Canelo, it was a little different. You know, Canelo didn't really get aggressive till he knew it was just almost too late. Probably the eighth, ninth round. He finally started throwing punches in desperation or in volume that he needed to do from the beginning of the fight. It's just he could not figure Floyd out, but you can't. He's just too smart. He's too quick. He's going to beat you to the punch. He's anticipating a punch, you know, that you're going to throw. He's either going to block it or weave it, you know, and then come back with something to make you pay, to make you think about the punch you just threw, right? And you're going to think about that, and it's going to make you hesitant from the next time. So the next time when you get hit with that punch, you're going to think about it, so you'll be more hesitant to throw that punch. But he's still going to hit you anyways. So you might as well throw it, you know. So it's one of those things that Floyd did, you know, brilliantly against Canelo Alvarez. He just did it in his own Mayweather way, you know. But I think the first two examples were just as good, you know, with Billy Joe and Lemieux and erislandy, Lara and Canelo. And then, of course, the bonus one I added with Mayweather and Canelo. But no, these are good fights. I love to see a good boxing match. You guys tell me what you think about it. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.